Okay. Frank, what do you think the crew is doing at this particular point in time?
Well, they'll just be preparing themselves for making that approach and landing. We're now just under 15 minutes away, hopefully, from their flyby time. So they're probably being vectored around by the Toulouse radar control. Oh, we've just seen Jacques Rosé join us on the podium
Jacques.
here. Welcome, Jacques.
Thank you for joining us. Okay, we'll focus on the approach, but I still want to hear your answer.
You can see it shining in the sun just above the roof of the hangar. Here.
Okay, the A350 is now commencing its approach towards the airfield here at Blagnac. It's overflying the southwest part of Toulouse. It looks to me to be around about 1,000 feet as it's descending towards the airfield. Probably flying in the order of 160 to 170 knots for the flyby, with the gear down, the flaps and slats extended. As it flies past the delivery center, it should make a right-hand turn to show us the underbelly of the aircraft before repositioning downwind round the back of Toulouse town, and then to make its final approach to land on runway 32 left here at Blagnac. It's just approaching the airfield boundary and looks to me to be around about 500-600 feet now.
Landing is imminent. Let's really enjoy this moment.
You know, this is at the end of the flight. You know that the aircraft is good, so you are already a little bit relaxed and you are happy. Look at that.
I think the chase airplane is making more noise than the A350.
By far, by far.
Well, now it's done its flyby. It's being vectored around the back of Toulouse for the final approach to landing. The flyby looked fine to me, Jacques. No comments?
It was very stable, very. It seems to be very easy to fly. I mean, just looking at it, it seems obvious.
Jacques, does it look like it's as easy as riding a bike?
Yes, a small bike in that case.
Your famous quote from the A380. A small bike. Well, if it's this nice to fly, they might decide to continue. Maybe they won't.
If they're
land.
having that so much fun.
Exactly.
They are perfectly on time. Huh? This is a clue saying that all works well. When you are on time with a totally brand new machine, it's impressive. Huh?
It's a very good sign.
Because plenty of things may turn wrong and may lead to shorten the flights, things like that. And being perfectly on time at takeoff and landing means that the aircraft is already in a very good shape.
Excellent.
Of course, it's not over until it's over, and they'll be, as they're turning downwind there, they'll be going through their final checks to make sure everything's set up for their final approach and landing.
Frank, they will be landing on the same runway as The takeoff, yeah?
Yes.
So 3-2 left?
3-2 left, yes.
And just as this morning during the takeoff, has the traffic been stopped around Toulouse Airport?
Yes, for the time being, until the aircraft is safely on the ground, we've now closed the airport to civilian traffic for the time being. This will be the moment when Pete's preparing himself for that final approach and landing. He knows that all the eyes of the company employees are on him, so he'll want to make sure it's a good one. And we'll debrief him if it isn't. So
it's not to target to be too perfect. You don't need to be perfect. You need just to be good. And if you want to be perfect, maybe you can miss it a little bit.
Anyway, I think that in order to minimize the taxi time, they will perform a rather long landing.
Absolutely.
Instead of trying to land as soon as possible just after the runway threshold. They will take some margin for safety reason for one thing, and also in order for the VIP not to wait too much time the aircraft to taxi back, because he will be positioned just here, which is far away from the runway threshold.
Now, I know that the A380 is equipped with ROPS, the runway overrun protection system. Is the A350 as well?
yes, absolutely. We'll come into service with that system installed, that's for sure.
It is basic now on all fly-by-wire airplane, by the way. Airbus.
During the pattern they just did, they flew very close to Toulouse, center city. And in Toulouse there are plenty of aviation enthusiasts, people. So I am sure they were watched by many pair of eyes.
Oh, I believe so. I think most people in Toulouse and in the vicinity, all eyes are on the A350 right now.
Maybe there will be some traffic jamming with the driver in the car looking at the sky.
This may happen.
Most probably this is what happens in Toulouse.
For the A380 there was a traffic jam because everybody stopped on the highway around Toulouse, and it was totally jammed.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm quite happy to be here on stage. I think we have one of the nicest views, especially when it lands,
exactly.
instead of being stuck in traffic.
Well, I can just see that it's rolled out on the final approach now. It's wings level coming down the finals, and should be touching down in 2 to 3 minutes. Very light winds here in Toulouse today. Aircraft looking very stable on its final approach.
Yeah, 200 feet.
Sit back and enjoy, folks.
Perfect. And that looks a great landing. Reverse is deployed. Brakes in operation.
Oh, yeah. Good job.
Great job, guys.
Smooth touchdown. Excellent.
The reverse are still extended. Voilà, they stop the reverse, that means that they are below 40 knots. They retract the ground spoilers, and that's it.
And they're all already starting to relax a little as they're back in a domain that they've tested before, taxiing around the airfield. So the pressure will be off slightly. Of course, they'll be very, very happy and very, I'm sure, very content with the performance of the aircraft.
So what is the plan, Frank? They'll be taxiing here up until...
I think the plan is to show the aircraft off to all the employees, so they're going to taxi the whole length of the taxiway. That will allow people to move back to the delivery center for a final taxi down Whiskey Taxiway, which is just in front of you, for parking on the just in front of the delivery center here, for everybody to have a good look. Looks as if they've opened the hatch above the cockpit to wave a flag there, from what I can see. My eyesight's not... Yeah, no, it's definitely a flag.
What kind of a flag is it? What do you think, Frank?
I would hope it was an Airbus flag.
I think so, too. I believe it's Pascal who's waving that flag.
Yes, I'm sure it is. So this will effectively be the lap of honor, taxiing down the taxiway past all the crowds, down towards the flight test department before it makes a U-turn and repositions up here at the delivery center.
A few moments of glory is nice after 4 hours of hard work.
looks like the photo chase plane has just landed, so very shortly I can see aircraft over there on the other side of the airfield taxiing out, ready for the reopening of the airport to commercial traffic. Yeah, they're just doing the legs. Great moment for the crews here. The end of a successful first flight. The first flight for many of them on board. There's only Fernando Alonso, I believe, that's done one before on the 380, of course, with Claude and Jacques. So they'll be very pleased, very emotional, I'm sure.
Yes,
and once they come back in here, we'll as they get off the aircraft, of course, they'll give us their immediate feedback on how the flight went.
To finish the questions that you have asked for, the dream of any pilots to be experimental test pilot. As I've explained, for airline pilots, this is not a problem. They don't think about it. But anyway, for all aircraft manufacturers, all the pilots working in this environment of aircraft manufacturer wish to be one day experimental test pilot, which means that they have all the qualification to perform a first flight. Because there is another test pilot which are essentially production pilots. In that case, they wish to be upgraded to be experimental test pilot. So my answer is yes. Most pilots which are used by the aircraft manufacturer dream to be experimental test pilot. I speak under your control.
That's absolutely fine, Pierre.
And Pierre, if I may, what kinds of qualities does one need to have to be an experimental test pilot?
First of all, they have to go through a test pilot school, which are dedicated pilot school, where the course is 9 months. And to have the quality to be experimental test pilots, it depends, because there is test pilots which are more, have the gene to have the capacity to quickly understand and fine-tune flight control laws, for instance, and some others which are more linked to develop a complex systems like FMS and so on. Both are experimental test pilot, but in the test pilot families, there is some which are more devoted to handling qualities and some other more to develop complex systems. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with me?
Yes, and the best is to be able to do both.
To do both. Agreed.
Yes, indeed. The test pilot schools, the training that one gets in the process of becoming experimental test pilot, pushes you in both those directions. There are periods when you're doing systems testing and analysis, and other periods when you're looking at handling qualities. Mm-hmm. So really, the school itself gives you a very broad education, and then that's the basis on which you build once you start working with a company, of course.
And then above and beyond the technical skills, are there any certain personality traits that make you more inclined to be a test pilot?
I think you have to be able to fit in well with a team, because there's a massive team that goes behind actually doing a first flight like this flight that you've seen today. Mm-hmm. And one has to get on, one has to fit, one has to be able to communicate what one sees, and that's a very essential part of the business of test flying and developing aircraft, that's for sure.
Well, as we have seen today, this is a great example of teamwork. Everything has gone perfectly.
You need to trust in each member of the team. You cannot do things on your own. You need all the team, and it's the reason why we have a very strong team spirit, because we in fact rely on each other, and we cannot do other way. It's very important. But to answer the question you asked to Frank and Pierre, I would say that you need to have, for being a good test pilot, not to be too much satisfied with what exists. You need to want to aim to improve everything. Nothing is perfect, and you have to aim something better all the time better. And it is that way that the aviation progress.
Frank, do you agree with that?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're always looking to the future. We're always looking how we can improve our products, and that applies to the whole team.
Well, I don't know about the three of you, but I'm really looking forward to hearing what the crew has to say.
It won't be long now.